Just having a quick look. I don't think I've got easy access to it at the moment, which is a shame.
Well,
Um,
we'll prepare a sort of here we're get ready for the action RPG thing
so
when we're
yeah,
a little closer to it, and I'm back in the country, so I can have some stuff ready to show as well.
yeah,
Because
that's
this
that's
laptop is
true.
great for exploring things, but I can't do things like share my screen.
Yeah, we tried that. So we prepped prepped, but we had a quick test to see whether it is even possible. And latency wise, you are far better than you are when you're like
Latency is
10
great, but
miles
this
down the road.
machine is like 6, 7 years old. Like I bought it before I moved back to the UK,
Yeah.
um, and it's getting on a bit. Like laptops, like they chug along. There comes a point where they're just slow.
Mm. I mean, it's one of those. It's one of those things, unfortunately. And I've tried it. High-powered laptops often, not always, but often end up sounding like a wind tunnel, which
Well,
is
this was never
fine
that,
if
right?
you've got headphones on. But it's no good for recording because you end up with a constant hiss. And even with really good noise removal, then the quality of the voice ends up going down as well. And it seems absolutely silly to spend and focus on decent audio and then end up with it being rubbish again because you've had to
Yep.
apply noise cancellation. It is getting really good. I mean, when Nvidia released what they used to call RTX Voice, they now call it Nvidia Broadcast. If you've got a 2000, I think it worked with older 10 series as well, but a 20 or
No, it
30 or
didn't.
even 40 series, it will do live noise
No, I tried it on the
cancellation.
1060. It's like nope.
Yeah, it just won't. It worked kind of on my
There
1080.
was a workaround, but the impact on the frame rate was just not worth it.
Yeah, it didn't. It used the CUDA calls. Good evening, Vertex, rather than
Hello,
the
Vertex.
I think they call them tensicles, the AI matrix multiplication.
But I'm very much looking forward to like getting my teeth back into the ARPG and seeing what we can do with our own assets
Yeah,
and stuff like that. And of course, God of Everyone. I'm really looking forward to that one. There's some fun things there, and I've got an idea
but for
for what to do for our stealth game.
oh yes, and we'll play a little stealth game towards the end of the stream as well.
That's my idea.
So Godot for everyone. For those who don't know, what is Godot for everyone?
For those who don't know, God of For Everyone is our upcoming modular course, so you can buy the entire thing or just the bits you want uh, for God of 4, and it is for everyone, for beginners through to high-end intermediates. If you're at the very expert stage, you probably don't need to take it, but for everyone else, you know. And the 2D games we've got planned are mostly, not all, but mostly remakes of classic arcade games. So you know how the gameplay works, you have an understanding of what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Here's some ways to do it with some assets we'll provide. And now I'm looking at sort of 3D solutions. I mean, we know we want Tuki Kickabout, which you probably have somewhere,
Oh
um,
yeah. I definitely have to
but I have
prepare
an
before that.
idea for our stealth game because we did Heistmeisters in the board game course back in the other company. We did Heistmeisters with Discovering Godot, and now I want to do something that isn't Heistmeisters but quite close. And also, Jelly, you're absolutely right.
Oh, good evening,
When
Jelly.
I lived in the US, my internet speed was way lower than it was in the UK, but my girlfriend has excellent internet.
If only we had. I mean, neither of us have great broadband, unfortunately. It was amazing. So a couple of months back, I went over to go see my dad, and he's got gigabit almost both ways. And
Thanks, Roderick.
yeah, why not? Um,
No.
I go there and I'm anticipating something taking me an hour and a half to 2 hours to do. But the fact that when I clicked upload video, it just went whoop along. The progress bar just moved, and I was like, oh. And on some of the platforms that we release, you have to upload before you can do anything else. So you're kind of
Yep.
bottlenecked behind this process, and it was just done. I was like, oh, cool.
I wasn't ready.
I didn't
This is
even
usually
have.
my downtime. Like,
I didn't have time to boil the kettle. What's going on? I'm
yeah,
very
no, I'm not
confused.
doing anything. You can sit there and watch me for
Yeah,
10 minutes and see how
yeah,
you
yeah,
like
yeah.
it.
Computer, you can wait for. And I was done in like 20 minutes. So I was like, oh, And
Yeah.
it was amazing. So I get up to 80 megabits, and most of the time it's around 60, and if the kids are home, it's around 5. Um, and when you've got a gigabit, it is literally orders of magnitude faster. It wasn't just the fact that the bandwidth was more as well. When you clicked on links to do things, it just went snap. There was none of this waiting for stuff to load. The latency was a lot lower, so
Yep.
it was amazing. Good broadband makes good times happen. That's what I learned.
Oh, GTA 5 has a massive security flaw at the moment. I mean, the hacking has always been rife. Let's be fair.
I'm gonna shrug. I don't have the time to play GTA 5 at the moment.
Yep.
What I have been playing, I've and completed in very very quick time, was The Last of Us 2. Really
Oh,
enjoyed
nice.
it. And one of the things that it made me think of, so and speaking of GTA 5 as well, there's a scene where in GTA 5 in the actual single player story mode, where you're playing as Trevor and you're forced to do things. They're
Yep.
part of the narrative. You're forced to do it. There's no ignore it and something else happens anyway. And there's a torture scene with the FBI, I think, if you're playing.
You're forced to physically take part in torturing someone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So The Last of Us 2 has and it's 2 years old, so spoiler warning, but if you're going to play it, you probably have by now.
And remember, it is legally mandated that when you give spoiler warnings, you do it in that voice.
Spoiler warning! I've gone up
That's
an
a different
octave.
voice.
Yeah.
Spoiler warning!
There was part of it where I'm like, I left the control. I physically left the controller. You're chasing down someone in a hospital. I think Nora is the character's name, and she's kind of just against the door, exhausted, and I think she's infected at the time. And you basically it's just flashing there on the screen. I'm playing on the PS, so it's flashing square. I'm like, no, I don't want to partake in this. And I left the controller there for 2 minutes. It just had this scene with the antagonist at this point, I suppose, that she had certainly changed position. And I was just like, but surely they could have scripted this out so I didn't have. And I get the point. If you're trying to have a narrative within a story where you want the player to feel the same uncomfortableness and stress that the character is feeling, having them involved like that is kind of important. But at the same time, this person is dying in front of you, and you're then forced to use, I think, a bit of pipe work on them. I'm like, it was the only part in the game that I'm like, yeah, cool, fine, whatever. That I was just like, really, I don't want to participate in this. The rest of the game, yeah, I'm fine with it. But is that one scene? I was like, oh, and there must be other games like this that force you
there's plenty
down a narrative without
It's
giving you an
interesting, though, especially
option.
in open world games where it's all about freedom, right? To be railroaded into a choice you really don't want to make.
No,
Has this like I could see legitimate gameplay reasons to do that when you're trying to make a specific point.
I mean,
But
The Last
the
of
one in
Us.
GTA 5 just made me think, I'm
Yeah.
never doing that again.
Well, I fully appreciate that The Last of Us is a story and it is a narrative, and you're playing through this character's story, so there is no open world element to it at all. But in an actual open world game where you're supposed to have choices, maybe not so much. But yeah, that hit hard, and it was probably the first time in many years that I've had, probably since GTA 5. But I didn't realize. Perhaps I was more careless in my youth. Oh yeah, we just torture someone. Why not? The game told me to.
Right, like if it was a choice, like an actual choice, that's a different thing.
Yes.
But when it's you must do this or there is no more game.
Yeah. I mean I thought they would have written in a I don't want to do this. The character just does it if you leave it long enough.
Last of Us TV series second episode dropped today. According to Joe.
No spoilers. I'm watching it after the stream. It's now my it's
I'm
my
guessing
it's
it
my
has
Monday evening fix for the moment.
lots of zombie things. I don't know. I do not like this streaming service new episode weekly thing.
I don't get
Just
it.
hate it.
It's annoying.
Just hate it.
I thought
Like,
we'd moved
I
past
remember
it.
back in like 1990, I used to daydream about being able to go onto your computer and just watch a TV show, and whatever episode you want would just be there. And then when streaming first came along, I was like, oh, I this is exactly what I pictured. I could just watch an
Yeah.
entire season, and then all of a sudden these like, oh yeah, no, I'm glad you're enjoying this. Stay tuned this time next week. Like, why?
I do
What
appreciate
TV
when they
schedule are we following?
I do appreciate when they just drop here's the season or here's the half
Yep.
season, whatever. Enjoy yourself, watch it all or watch it on your schedule. I mean, that's kind of the point for me anyway of online streaming. I'm with you
Yeah.
100% there. Yeah,
Now, for those of you from the States, when we say schedule, I believe you pronounce this
aluminum.
aluminum.
Yep. One thing that so this was Amazon Prime. I think it might have been Picard. They had a break like for 4 weeks or so. It might not have been Picard, but anyway, so you're watching it and it literally says there, new episode weekly. It's on the banner. I've watched all of them up to that point. Next week, where's my episode? Next week, where's you must be smart enough to know that I've watched it. Do not show me new episode weekly when it's blooming not. You're lying.
I just don't get it. I mean, I've heard various theories, including they're trying to keep the water cooler talk thing going, but either have it streaming or not. Like, if you're going to do new episodes weekly, just put it on TV.
Possible. Yeah, it might have been COVID. You're quite right there. So yeah, highlighter on the Radio Times. So the Radio Times is a TV magazine. Do they have those
TV
in
Guide.
TV Guide? Do they have those in the States?
I don't think that anyone has them anymore.
I'm pretty sure I've seen someone anyway. So yeah, Radio Times was the good one. That was higher quality than the crappy one.
That's true, because there was like TV Daily and stuff, wasn't there?
It was impossible to read. It was just a sea of mess.
Well, it was easier when I was a kid because there were only 4 channels.
1, 2, 3, and
Like-
5. Yep.
I mean, this was way before 5. I mean, I remember when Channel 4 went live.
No way.
Way,
Way.
way. I'd be caught blue-handed.
Why are you blue? Dabba dee dabba die.
Okay. Yesterday, my girlfriend bought a box of cupcakes.
And now they're all gone.
Is enjoying the cupcakes. There was one vanilla one left. Her kid's favorite color is blue. I found blue food dye.
You
She'll
painted.
never know it was me. Yeah, painted the cupcake blue.
Is this a child safe blue food color? Are you going to have like a hyper child later on in the day?
I mean, I keep saying this. Double-blind medical experiments have demonstrated that sugar doesn't make kids hyper.
It's the party they're at.
Right. But it's such an ingrained observation, such an ingrained logical fallacy, that even as I'm saying it, I don't believe it's true. Like, all the medical evidence tells us it's the circumstance, not the sugar. Sugar doesn't make kids hyper. There's a bunch of other good health reasons not to give kids a bunch of sugar. Like, I'm not working for the sugar lobby, but it doesn't make them hyper. But yay, I got a cupcake. Might.
Just a little bit. I mean, there is a little bit of, if you've had fast burning carbs, you can end up with a quick reaction. You get like full of energy and stuff because of that, and then you have your crash
Well, that's
afterwards.
like
Would
that's
happen
such
with
a
pasta.
Short burst. Yeah.
Yeah, that would happen with a bowl of pasta. That would happen with any fast carb.